Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Lord Krishna speaks Bhagavad-gita so that the conditioned souls can come out of ignorance. Ignorance means not to know that I am the servant of Krishna. Ignorance means to think that I am God. Everything is meant for my enjoyment. So Lord Krishna speaks this so that we can understand our constitutional position and come out of ignorance. But most people who read Bhagavad-gita, they simply increase their ignorance because they read with the wrong attitude. Bhagavad-gita gives information of Bhagavan. We are supposed to understand that I am the servant of Bhagavan. But if we read Bhagavad-gita thinking that I am Bhagavan, then we read things, Sarvata Panipadam, oh, this describes me. I'm everywhere. My hands are everywhere. My eyes are everywhere. Yes, this is describing me. But as Prabhupada points out here in the purport, this is contradictory. If you're Bhagavan, then you don't need to read a book to understand that you're Bhagavan. It's astonishing how some people, they can boldly claim to be Bhagavan. There's one famous cheetah. He's famous for now. It means they come and go like a fashion. So there's one who's popular at the moment. His name is Shavi Rankar or something like that. Can't remember exactly. So I saw there was some interview with him and they asked, how many incarnations have you taken? In other words, the person is thinking he is Bhagavan and he's taking incarnations to deliver the world. And his reply was, I don't remember. I didn't count them all. A bona fide guru, if he's asked this question, will explain very forcefully that I am not Bhagavan, I am the servant of Bhagavan, and you are also the servant of Bhagavan. These descriptions in Bhagavad-gita, they're meant for people who are trying to become sane. If anyone thinks that I am God, he is insane. Anyone except Krishna. Everyone in this material world is insane to some degree or other. I was giving that description yesterday evening. We saw the dog in the drain, this drain water here, up to its haunches, up to its shoulder, in the filthy water, drinking that water and thinking, this is very nice. But we can understand, this is not very nice. This is like hell. There is one kind of hell where you have to live in, it's like a river full of pus and blood and stool, and you live there and you have to drink that and eat that. That's what that dog is doing. But actually that dog, his situation is not much different from the person who's sitting in their home sweet home, thinking this is very nice. Without knowledge of Krishna, it's just different kinds of suffering in ignorance. So when someone who is desiring to become sane, when they hear this description, how Paramatma has his hands, legs, eyes, everywhere, he understands, oh, this is Bhagavan, because that's different to me. I don't have hands, legs, eyes everywhere. If someone reads Bhagavad-gita and they think, well, that's me. I'm everywhere. This is clearly insanity. If your eyes are everywhere, you should be able to see what's going on in the next building, but you can't. What to speak of the whole universe? So, people who claim like this, that I am Bhagavan, I am the all-pervading consciousness, they are clearly very severely insane. And this material world is so insane that if anyone claims like that, he'll get many insane followers. It's childish actually. It's just like a child in play may claim, I am the king, I am leading a big army, but he's just running in the street by himself. Or the young boys, they go to play cricket and one says, well, I'm Sachin Tendulkar, and someone else says I'm someone else. I don't know the names of anyone else. Huh? Seva. Seva, there's a cricketer called Seva. Alright. So it's just child's play. In his imagination, he's become Sachin Tendulkar, which, God bless him that he doesn't become like that. So, another highly glorified meat eater. But it's just a children's play. So if someone stands up and says, "I'm God," we should understand. He's just talking like a fool, blabbering. Blabbering, do you know what I mean? There must be a term. If a child, 3-year-old says like that, but if a fully grown person says, then he's crazy. That's the Tamil. He's a good translator. It's the same in every language. There are crazy people everywhere. There are so many languages in the world, and the crazy people have their own language also. It transcends all borders and boundaries and cultures. So if someone says that I am the all-pervading consciousness, I am everywhere, and I take so many incarnations, it's like we were talking this morning, it's like the person wandering around in the street, the madman, directing the traffic, talking to himself. He's a crazy man. But instead, they make a big pandal and put him on television and praise him. Oh, he's so wonderful. He's God. So this is proof that many people are completely stupid. Once in Hong Kong, you see these so-called Bhagawans, they come and go. They usually last about 5 years or something like that. So once in Hong Kong, this was about 1973 or something, the newspaper reporters, they asked Srila Prabhupada, "What do you think about this Bal Yogeshwar," his name was, he was a young boy, so-called guru, who was in America claiming to be Bhagavan, and he had so many followers from these stupid American people. So Prabhupada said that, well, I don't want to say, we just glorify Krishna. So they could understand he doesn't like him. The newspaper reporters, they're pushing, they want to get a good story. So then Prabhupada said that he's simply a cheater and a rascal. I kick in his face. I urinate in his face. What will he do? He's supposed to be God. What will he do? So the newspaper reporters are very happy. They got a good story. I remember as a child reading in the newspaper, there was the headline, "Trouble in Nirvana." That one guru is criticizing another. But that rascal, he's not a guru. He declared himself to be Krishna and his mother to be Durga. But when he ran off with his young American secretary and married her, she didn't like that because he's from Brahmin caste. She didn't want him to marry a Mlecha, so she rejected him, and then he removed her from the position of Durga. He used to say his mother is Durga, and he is Krishna. But then he married his young American secretary, which his mother didn't like because they're Brahmin caste and he didn't want her to marry a Mlecha. So when she didn't like that, he removed her from the post of Durga. She's not Durga anymore. Such nonsense. So there was this headline, "Trouble in Nirvana." They think one guru is criticizing another guru. The Mayavadis, these people who say that, well, everyone is God, everyone is the all-pervading truth, they say that, well, we accept you, then why do you criticize us? If you want to believe in Krishna, we're not criticizing you. Just have to understand that I'm Krishna and you're Krishna and everyone is Krishna. So why are you criticizing? But devotees, they must criticize. If anyone in India poses as a policeman, in any country, if you impersonate a policeman, that's a serious crime. You go as a policeman and then you take some bribe or something like this. You're not a policeman at all. But out of fear, people give some bribe. So if for impersonating a policeman is against the law, then what about impersonating Bhagavan? That's a much bigger crime, isn't it? But we don't have a good government. At least in this sense we can say. All over the world. That in the name of tolerance, they allow people to say that I am Bhagavan, which is the greatest blasphemy. So one who is sane, he reads Bhagavad-gita, he understands. that my eyes, legs, hands, they're not everywhere, so I'm inferior to Bhagavan. It's a very simple thing to understand, that I am limited, and Bhagavan means unlimited. So I am not Bhagavan. But people who are mad, they think, they read Bhagavad-gita and they become more in Maya. Oh yeah, this Bal Yogeshwar, he used to tell his followers, he used to say that actually these Hare Krishna people, they're very good. They're worshipping me very nicely. So just they didn't understand yet, but that I am Krishna, but when they understand, then they'll be very good. So his method of self-realization was, you press your eyes and then you see all different colors, and that's self-realization. Isn't it stupid? But how many stupid things are going on in the name of religion? In one sense, it's not surprising if people become atheists. Of course, it's not good to be an atheist. But what goes on in the name of religion is so bizarre that generally intelligent people, why should they want to have anything to do with it? So therefore, we are presenting this Krishna conscious movement with books, with philosophy. Krishna consciousness means singing the names of Krishna, dancing for Krishna, seeing the beautiful forms of Krishna, discussing the beautiful pastimes of Krishna. But generally the educated section of people, they are not much inclined to this, because they do this for all these bogus people. They do that also. They have kirtans and they have pictures of some bogus imitation Bhagavan. So these people who are pretending to be Bhagavan, they're doing the greatest disservice to human society by confusing the whole of human society. What is the nature of Bhagavan? So in our Krishna conscious movement, there is singing, dancing, beautiful pictures, beautiful deities, all these things are there. But we're presenting very scientifically and philosophically what is the nature of Bhagavan. Otherwise people they may think that Krishna is just some ancient version of some Baba or some bogus person like this. So try to understand philosophically. Krishna gives us Bhagavad-gita so that we can understand through the intelligence that He has given us. Mostly people who discuss religious philosophy or tattva jnana, they just presume that everything is all one and there's no actual form of the Absolute, and they describe Bhagavad-gita like this. That is due to their sankuchit, or what it means, squashed up, unexpanded understanding, undeveloped understanding. They simply think with material intelligence that because Bhagavan is described as being everywhere, they think that He has no form. But here Krishna is describing Himself, the absolute truth, as being everywhere, but still He was standing directly in front of Arjuna saying that. So it's not that Krishna is without form, but He is Advaitam, Achyutam, Anadim, Anantarupam. He has unlimited forms. So Anantarupa is not the same as Arupa. In fact, it's the complete opposite. And still, Krishna, He is Swayamrupa, the original form of Godhead. So this misunderstanding that God has no form, everyone is God, or a human being can claim himself to be God, this is very widespread in Hindu society. Everywhere, but particularly in Hindu society. Otherwise, these people couldn't come and claim to be God, or they say, you have to realize, you just realize that you are God. How are you going to realize? Because you're not. And then it's just imagination. We tell you to meditate, then you will realize that you are the all-pervading God. So you're trying to meditate and think that I'm God, I'm the all-pervading truth, and then you have to all of a sudden you feel, I have to run to the bathroom, pass stool. So you're trying to meditate and think that I'm God, and you're thinking, but I got this 10 lakh debt, and how am I going to pay it off? I know, I'll go to the bank and tell them, well, actually I'm God. So then they'll say, you're God, then you should give us 1 crore, not 10 lakhs. And say, okay God, but if you don't pay those 10 lakhs, we're going to arrest you, we're going to get you arrested and put in prison. It's amazing how people are so foolish. Some people, they go to meditate on the side of a mountain early morning before sunrise, and then when the sun is rising, they're thinking, I am making the sun rise. They actually think like that. So this mayavad of thinking God is no particular form and everything and everyone is God, and especially I am God, or ascribing the nature of Bhagavan to a human being, it's actually greatly foolishness. But people think that this is very highly developed. They talk big, long words, Sanskrit words. People think, very philosophical. But it's the same thing, like children imitating. The children may imitate some scientists discussing and using big, long words, but they don't understand. They have no idea what they're talking about. So they may talk big, long phrases, tad bhava vyalikam, and it's the conclusion, I am God, is just meaningless. At school, once our teacher, mathematics teacher, he wrote some big formula on the board. X squared minus y squared divided by ABC cubed plus 4ZY equals, and then on the other side there was another something in 2 brackets, and quite complicated. What are you saying? I'm talking nonsense?
I said the maths teacher wrote the formula as like how you said.
Oh, okay. That's very good translation. Next line you can translate, Maharaj said something, and you can just listen yourself. So we all looked at it. We were in the higher class of mathematics. We looked, both sides of the equal sign, they both equal each other. It's correct. The formula is correct. So then he brought another big formula inside a bracket and multiplied both sides by the same thing. So he said, can you follow that? And we all looked and checked it and said, yep, that's okay. So like this, he did a few lines, multiplying, dividing, and we checked each line, it looked all right. Then in a few stages he cancelled it all down and simplified it, and the conclusion is 1x equals 2x, 1 equals 2. 1x equals 2x, that's how you say it in Tamil. I'm better in Tamil than you are. So then we look back at the original formula, and everything's okay. And we went through all the stages, we all checked in the class, we all went through all the stages, and everything's all okay. But the conclusion is nonsense. So we couldn't understand. And then the math teacher pointed out to us how he tricked us. That one of the formulae, if you analyze it, in the brackets, if you work out that by itself, it comes to 0. So when you multiply by 0, then everything should come to 0. But because it was all in the brackets with x, y cubed, we didn't see that actually it all comes to 0. And so we were fooled. So the mathematics, it all looked very good, and it was high level mathematics, at least for us. We couldn't find out any mistake. So in the same way, these people, they talk something that sounds like very high philosophy. But if the conclusion is nonsense, we can understand that what they're talking is also nonsense, even if it sounds very cogent. If the conclusion is that everyone is God or some human being is God, then it's nonsense. But unless one knows Bhagavad-gita as it is, you won't be able to detect that. So these people, they're very good at cheating foolish people. So please study Bhagavad-gita as it is and don't be cheated. We don't want false Bhagavan, we want the real Bhagavan. Real Bhagavan will protect us. The false Bhagavan cannot help us in the slightest. By remembering the false Bhagavan, you won't get freed from birth and death. You'll get more entangled in birth and death. So at the very least, the government, they should issue warnings against these people. But they themselves, they're also bewildered people. So in Kali Yuga, the atmosphere is full of confusion in the name of Bhakti. So we should do service to human society by distributing these books so people can get the real understanding of who is Bhagavan and what is our relationship with Him. So please read Bhagavad-gita as it is. The result of reading Bhagavad-gita as it is that we should become free from ignorance. If we read all these different versions of Bhagavad-gita, simply our ignorance will increase. I had this experience, and many of our devotees have, in the Western countries, have told us, they've had this experience, that we read some editions of Bhagavad-gita before we came to Prabhupada's Bhagavad-gita, but by reading it, we have no idea what it's supposed to be about. You're just more confused. I remember reading, before coming to this movement, I read some things by some Hindu gurus, and they're saying that we're all God, and I thought, that's not right, I'm not God, this is rubbish. So one of my friends at school, he one time showed me some books by Prabhupada and said, oh, have a look at these are very nice. I said, I don't want to see. These Hindu gurus, they're all cheaters. So fortunately, maybe 2 years after that, I did read one of Prabhupada's books, and then I understood this is something different. But how these cheaters are polluting the whole atmosphere with their very sinful propaganda that, well, I can't remember how many incarnations I took, and so on. And people think these people are saintly. So we should understand very clearly, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is the Supreme Person, the Supreme Controller, replete with 6 opulences in full. He is everywhere, but He is not formless. Rather, His form is the source and the sustainer of all other forms. And we are fully, in all respects, dependent upon Him. And our only problem, or rather the source of all our problems, is defying the fact that we are dependent upon Him and attempting to be independent of Him. So please try to understand this very clearly. That you will get from reading Prabhupada's books and associating with devotees. You have to spread this knowledge. You have to distribute these books. Bring others to hear the message of pure devotional service. We are condemning these people as foolish, not out of hatred. We're very sorry to see how people are spoiling their human life. All one has to do is accept Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and accept the easy process of Bhakti Yoga, and one's life becomes perfect in all respects. But instead, people are spoiling their lives in so many ways. So we condemn that. It should be condemned. We should point out that this is nonsense, this is rascaldom. Not out of hatred, but out of a desire to uplift others. If we say, yes, actually everything you're doing is very nice, then we are cheating them. We should tell what you're doing is not at all nice in any way. By claiming a human being as God, it's most inauspicious. That person, he may enjoy the illusion of being worshipped. We are cheating them. We should tell what you're doing is not at all nice in any way. By claiming a human being as God, it's most inauspicious. That person, he may enjoy the illusion of being worshipped by people for some time, but then he has to suffer very severely the consequences of such blasphemy. Hare Krishna. Is there any question?
Srila Prabhupada often criticizes in his books the people as rascals and fools. So some people while reading they get upset and then they say that
that shows that they're rascals.
We are preaching on for the soul platform. They say like we do some help for the human society. So what you are doing, but you are criticizing people. So how to answer to that?
What is it exactly they're saying? You shouldn't call us rascals because we're helping people.
Yes.
But they're not helping people. Their helping is like the man is drowning and you swim out and you rip the shirt off his body and come back and say, I saved. You saved the shirt and the man drowned. So you do something to supposedly help the body, but the person has to leave that body and suffer in material existence, birth after birth. So how did you actually help them? It's just another phase of illusion to think that we are helping others. It's another egoism. People think, oh, I'm helping others. How much can you help? Mother Teresa is famous as the great saint for helping the poor people in Calcutta. But while she was there, she helped maybe a few dozen people. Meanwhile, there are lakhs more poor people. And even the people she helped, they also died and went to hell. So how did she help them? You want to help people so they have more money. Well, look at America. There's so much money there and then so many people commit suicide. So is it really helping people? They're not becoming happy. It requires some piety to appreciate this. People who are on the gross bodily platform think that helping the body is the highest religion. And these Mayavadis have increased, they've contributed to this illusion. Because they say, yes, we should open schools and hospitals and have eye camps, and this is really helping. There was one Swami Vivekahin, he used to preach that you should help develop the body, develop the nation, totally mundane. But he was more of a cheater because he presented it as dharma. So we're not saying there shouldn't be schools and hospitals, but it's not such a great thing. If you can help to release someone from birth and death by giving knowledge of their relationship with Krishna, that is unlimitedly better than opening millions of hospitals. You go to hospital, you become healthy, but you don't know what is right and wrong, so by being healthy you do more pap, and then you suffer more in hell. Better you die before doing them. Now America invaded Iraq because they said, well, Saddam Hussein was so bad, he was killing so many of his own citizens. But in America, daily they kill lakhs of their own citizens. Chickens, cows, pigs, they're also inhabitants of the country. Abortion. So there's mass slaughter going on daily. This bird flu disease in India, they're killing lakhs of chickens. Even there wasn't bird flu, they would have been killed anyway. There are millions of chickens in India. And maybe out of 1 million or 2 million, one might get born and die without getting his throat cut. I mean, just die naturally. This is mass sinful activity. And the chief minister gets elected on the promise of giving more eggs to the children. It means sending them to hell more. The old chief minister was giving 1 egg and he's going to give 2 eggs. And the little children, how are they going to eat 2 eggs? And how many more chickens are going to get slaughtered? People are in ignorance. And they think this is benefit to human society. We're giving more eggs. But more eggs means more suffering for the chickens and for you also. But people are so much in ignorance that they immediately vote, yes, this is very good. Because they don't know what are the tenets of Shastra. Ya Shastra vidim utraja vartate kamakarataha nasa siddhim avapnoti nasukam naparam gatim. Those who do not know what is right and what is wrong according to Shastra, they act according to their own ideas. They cannot achieve perfection, they cannot achieve happiness, they cannot achieve the supreme destination. Anyway, don't try to explain all this to people when you meet them. You induce them somehow or other to take one of Prabhupada's books, that's better. People are very deeply in ignorance. And the more you increase the ignorance, they call that progress. What they call progress, everyone in India, progress. It's just increasing the ignorance, that's all. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So we'll finish there. Unless anyone has any other question. There is another question. Say in Tamil first, please. Speak in the mic, sir. Say it in English now.
Hare Krishna. Sri Krishna created this world, but Krishna created this whole universe. And why he created these cheaters and why he allowing them to grow?
This universe is for the souls who have rejected Krishna. Though people have come here to cheat themselves. So therefore they like people who cheat, who take them away from Krishna. Krishna comes and speaks Bhagavad-gita. He says, don't be misled by these cheaters. Surrender to me. But he gives us the choice whether we want to do so or not. Krishna wants us to love him. Krishna wants that we love him. But love means by choice. If you are programmed like a machine to bow down to Krishna and offer him arati, that is not love. So you have the choice to love Krishna or not love Krishna. If you don't want to love Krishna, then come to this material world. And those who, in this material world, everyone is cheating everyone else. And some are more successful than others. Krishna doesn't approve that, but he gives you the independence. You can use it or misuse it. Hare Krishna.
The course of the preaching.
Yeah.
The course of the preaching, when certain people supposed to be Mayavaris, should we continue preaching to them and try to convince them, or better to keep away from them?
I say in Tamil, well, there's no harm to try to go on expounding the glories of Krishna. Although often Mayavadis are offensive, and if you speak the glories of Krishna, they start to become more offensive. Quite a few years ago, maybe almost 20 years ago, I was in someone's house in Karnataka, in one place, Hubli. So he said that we're worshipping Narayana in our home. And then he started telling me I'm helping with hospitals and Rotary Club and STD booths for Vikalanga, for this disabled people and so on. He was very proudly telling me. So I said, actually you're not helping anyone. You don't have any ability to help anyone. Is this not helping anyone? So he didn't accept this point, and there was some discussion, and it gradually got more and more tense. And we weren't directly discussing about who is Bhagavan, but I said, well, in Bhagavad-gita, Krishna says, and then he cut me out and said, well, Narayan, he's also Arupam. Now, he's worshipping Narayan, so-called. And the point of whether Bhagavan has Rupa or Arupa, that point didn't come up. But when I was to quote Bhagavad-gita, he didn't want to hear that, because he wanted to say, he's Arupam, and therefore what he says has no meaning. In other words, just gross envy came out. In the beginning, he's saying, I'm also a bhakta, I'm worshipping Narayana. But then when you speak a little bit, and then just like a nasty snake, the envy comes out. So much, I said, too much all at once. So, trying to convince people who are so grossly envious may not be a very good proposition. Almost everyone is confused by these Mayavadi ideas, but some people are more willing to begin to listen to Bhagavad-gita as it is. So better we concentrate our preaching on such people. But in general, for mass preaching, the best program is distributing Prabhupada's books. And we should also have programs preaching in schools, preaching in people's houses. All these different programs should go on. But seeing as there are so many people in the world who are not Krishna conscious, to concentrate our attention on someone who's not very eager to hear doesn't make much sense. Better, if we're going to spend time with people trying to make them Krishna conscious, better to spend time with people who are more willing to listen. To effectively preach Krishna conscious, we ourselves have to be convinced. We have to know what's in Shastra. And even though we may speak strongly for the sake of preaching, actually we have to be very humble and know that I cannot preach. Only by the grace of Guru and Krishna can people's hearts change. Then our preaching may be effective. So Hare Krishna. I'll hope to see you in about, almost 1 month, is it?
No, 20 days.
About 3 weeks. That would be then. There's a program in Namakkal on 2nd or 3rd of June, so I'll be coming at that time. So I hope to see you all then. Leaving in 1.5 hours, the train is supposed to depart for Chennai, and hope to come back, and then I'm thinking maybe to spend 1 or 2 weeks here, something like that. Let's see. But not doing a lot of programs, but writing actually. Some of my books